listening to Reverb Radio.
Hey yo, Josh, let me get a little bit of reverb.
Yeah. J Will.
Yeah, I'm about that lifestyle. I talk green work, repping it all over. It's right on the t-shirt. Been for a lifetime. Yeah, that's a long pass. Figure I would show some love right on the podcast. Turn this up loud and make sure you don't do nothing else. Cause if you're listening to us, then you're improving your health. My name is J Will. Welcome, repping it, J Will. Been for a repping it, been for
We are finally back. I'm a little sick, so just putting that out there. If I sound a little off, it's just because I've got the man flu. Don't worry about it. But I was not postponing this show for the world. I'm so happy to be sitting down in front of a microphone talking to, I don't think anyone realizes that when I've had this nearly a month-long break from content, me and Kevin, it's not like we're talking on Skype every day. I haven't talked to Kevin in so long. We just had our pre-chat and we just started rambling about wrestling because it was just so natural to us. But Kevin, welcome back. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm really, really happy that we're back. It's been a long month, honest to God. I know, and I'm glad that we are. I'm going. I think the break was good for everyone. I think, just to sort of take a step back, and then now you've got big plans in the works, and we've got so much to talk about. And I've been waiting to get it all out there, and I'm glad we're finally sitting down to do it.
Yeah, I am. Obviously, this is first and foremost, everyone. Welcome to Reverb Radio. It is the I guess the next step in what I'm taking to kind of build my content. I've said it many times. I have a goal in mind. I'm gonna try and get there, and it's gonna be a long year, but I'm going to try my hardest to try and make something of this. And you see me now doing more stuff on Twitch and just more content and Reverb Radio as a whole. It's going to be a little different. It's going to be a little bit of a unsteady path, but I'm working my way around it. But this was really what I had planned from the beginning. It just never really come to formation when I announced the Josh Robinson 00 network, and now leading into Reverb Radio. This is kind of where I wanted to go. Some monthly specials, which you can hear all about. The official launch week is Monday with Ditz versus Josh. This is like a little 2-year celebration of Wrestling Reverb today. We're going to chit-chat wrestling a little later, talk about Reverb the last 2 years and what I've kind of grown from it, what Kevin's learned from it, everything from like that. But yeah, this is like a little teaser for for Reverb Radio ahead of official launch on Monday. So buckle up for the next hour. We are going to... good vibes only. I have this new look on wrestling lately of I've learnt to ignore negativity, and I've just kind of enjoyed wrestling for what I love again, and being able to critique it, but also being able to point out that, hey, might be where it's going, or whatever it may be. I've just really fallen back in love with wrestling. A friend of mine who's new to wrestling has kind of asked me to show her wrestling that knows nothing about wrestling, and that's helped me kind of fall back in love with wrestling again. So I'm having a lot of fun. But during this time away, Kev, what have you been up to? Have you been blogging, or have you been kind of away from that as well?
So, no, it's been a while since I've been at the Keys. I've been actually trying to get a couple blogs out in the last couple of days. I've been dealing with some writer's block, at least with the wrestling writing as far as that's concerned. But I've been watching a lot of wrestling. New Japan coming back in the last month has been a big thing for me, because it's sort of bringing me back to wrestling. I've been getting a little apathetic and a little jaded. Maybe it's because there's no fans in the seats. Maybe it's because there's not a lot of wrestling going on outside of your two major companies. But I've been trying to just, like sort of like you said, take a different outlook on it. It's not necessarily that I'm watching wrestling thinking everything is great, but I want to watch wrestling from a point where I expect it to be good, as opposed to going in and being like, well, this is probably going to suck. Because if you go in with that negative mindset, then it's going to warp everything you watch. If you go into, you say, Extreme Rules, and you think everything's going to be bad, then everything is going to be bad because you've already made up your mind. I'm trying to go in with a purely like positive and just like whatever happens type outlook, where I'm not trying to slant myself or skew myself in any direction going into the show. And I watched Extreme Rules the other day with that mindset, and I was very, very happy with the way the show turned out. I enjoyed it, and I think that having sort of a different outlook helped out. I know a lot of people didn't like the show. I know a lot of people had a lot of negative things to say about the show, but I was able to sort of sit back and watch it for what it was worth and take different things than, the majority. You don't want to fall in with people if you don't agree with them. You don't want to just go with the crowd.
Exactly. And what I've learned in this time away and just kind of taking a step back and watching wrestling for wrestling is that it's okay. People are going to have their opinions. You don't have to conform with those opinions just because, like you said. And also just, I've always been one to say this, but really owning up to that, this kind of motto is just watching wrestling for what's on my screen instead of worrying about what's happening tomorrow. Just kind of letting stuff play out. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. If it does, it does. And reacting accordingly. That's what I did with Extreme Rules, and I really enjoyed the Extreme Rules show. I really did. So we'll talk about Extreme Rules in a minute, because there is some things about it. We're still going to have opinions. Being positive about wrestling doesn't mean that you have to absolutely adore everything that happens. No, you're still entitled to an opinion. However, it's just having an outlook of like, not shitting on something just to shit on it. Shitting on it from a perspective of like, okay, I didn't like this about it, but I like this, or whatever. Just being constructive in our own brain and letting ourselves enjoy wrestling. But we'll talk about Extreme Rules in a minute. It is the 2-year anniversary of Wrestling Reverb. Reverb is growing up way too fast. It's 2 years from the 25th, so tomorrow, or whenever you're listening to this, the 25th of July is the official first episode of Wrestling Reverb that I recorded on a Guitar Hero microphone, sitting in my house when no one was home, just because I just wanted to get wrestling off my chest. And 2 years later, I have a co-host who's from the other side of the world. I have a whole network of shows. I have over 4,000 Twitter followers, which is like, what the fuck? And I have gained more confidence than I ever had in my life. I'm literally doing this as I'm sick, when I should be probably in bed at the moment. But I love this, and it's been just a great 2 years. I've had the best times of my life meeting people from all over the world, and it's just been a lot of fun. But I don't like the fact that, like you said the other day, Kev, we have a toddler now in Wrestling Reverb, and I'm not into that.
It's crazy, isn't it? And obviously you were there since the beginning. I jumped on in January of last year, so I haven't been there. I was an absentee parent for a couple of months, but I came back and I came into our child's life, and I'm playing catch with Wrestling Reverb, and I'm taking Wrestling Reverb out for ice cream. But no, it's been such a blast doing this, and much in a similar vein as yourself, I never thought that this would be something I not only that we do every week, but like something that I literally like plan my week around, not my week, maybe my day around this. I will, people want me to do, people want me to hang out, people want me to do this, do that, but like this is the first thing when the week starts. This is the first thing I plan for. As I'm like, all right, we got Reverb on, whether we're recording Wednesday night my time or Thursday night my time. I set aside this block because this is like the most important block of time for me in a given week anymore. I love this, and I'm so glad that we're back doing this. The break did wonders. The break really did wonders for me, just because I realized how much I love this show. I realized how much I missed doing the show when we weren't doing it. I realized just how much time and effort that you put in, and I realized how much love and support and all the shit that I put in. I love doing this, man. I can't thank you enough for reaching out way back when and just getting me on the show for that Royal Rumble, despite being sleep deprived because that show is like 7 hours long. But I never thought, when we got off the call that night, I thought we had a really great chat. I thought that was going to be something I was very proud of, but I never thought that 2 years later or a year and a half later for me, that this would be a regular gig for me.
Yeah, we've said this many times, but like that changed how I did Reverb was when I got you and everything like that. But it's just crazy to me how you like saying like, okay, you have this little block of time every week, whether it's whatever time we record Reverb. And then for me, I'm like, I record Reverb, and then it slowly became 2 shows when I had Diving In, which became the Josh Robinson show. And then I started to do Dits versus Josh, and then Brainbuster and everything like that. All the guesting that I do on people's shows, and then having my own network of shows is absolutely bizarre to me. And the fact that I'm like, I record like 5 times a week, and I'm like, I don't get burnt out. I don't feel like it's, I don't feel like it's a job. Like I just feel like it's fun. It doesn't feel time consuming. It doesn't feel like everything maybe it should feel when I'm doing it as often as I do. But I'm just enjoying it. The break was a wonder. I'm not afraid to take little breaks here and there just to kind of recharge my batteries. I don't mind doing that if it means I'm going to get better content. But something that I have planned for Reverb Radio and just all my content in general is just more of this. You're going to hear a lot of the same. Don't worry. I'm not changing the way I approach doing these shows. It's just, I feel like I know that I can do better than what I was doing. So it's just being better all the time. I'm always looking of ways I can improve, and I'm listening to other people's shows to kind of take little bits and being like, I think I could bring that here in the way that people do things. I'm not talking about segments or anything like that. Just the way that people approach things, the way people do their intros. I'm like, oh, I like the way this person did that. Maybe I can incorporate that somehow. Like I take things from everybody just because I love this community and just the way I can make my show better. And I watch a lot of different YouTubers to see how they do different things, how they do transitions, how they do outros. I focus on a lot of things. I don't think people realize is that podcasters will know, or just content in general, because I do more than just podcasts, but there's a lot to it. There's a lot more than just talking into a microphone. I'm editing. I'm editing videos. I'm getting ready for Twitch streams. I'm making overlays. I'm making graphics. Like, there's a lot to do it. Like, once I get off this record, I edit and I make graphics and I promote. That it's a big chunk of my day. But it doesn't. If this was my job, this would be something I'm genuinely passionate about. And over this next year, I know it's a very slim chance, but if I can make this somehow my job, or if I can make this a second job, if I can generate an income off of this, I'm going to try and do it because I love doing this, and it's something that you're passionate about, doesn't feel like work. So that's my kind of goal and my kind of outlook, is just it's not always about making more content, it's just making better content, and just different things, trying different things. I'm not afraid to try different things, which is just, that's just my outlook on it. Something in the last month that, again, I said this on my Twitch stream, I put this on my Twitter, I put a lot of tweets about the fact that I came out. There's a reason I do that, and if anyone that didn't watch my Twitch stream or didn't watch the little snippet I put on Twitter or on YouTube, Kevin will be 100% fully 1000% backing me, and this is that a safe space for the LGBTQ plus community is something that I have in the forefront of my brain, is that it will come up in conversations. I will have episodes dedicated to what it's like for me, and having different people from that community come on and talk in my shows, because I feel like representation is important. And if people want it, the small minority that still feel uncomfortable with that, I will never ever say this, but I don't want you to follow. I don't want you to listen to my content because you're going to feel way uncomfortable. And I don't want small-minded people like that around me. It's not worth the time. it's a small minority, and I've had a fairly positive experience with pretty much everything. But that's just something I'm stating now. I'm not going to keep hacking on about the fact that it's going to be like this, but it will come up. There will be episodes dedicated to it. There will be episodes not dedicated to it. It's a part of me. It's a part of this network. And that's where I'll leave that on that. But I know you'll 100% agree with me, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be a safe space for the LGBTQ community, regardless of my sexual orientation, your sexual orientation. It's just a place of decency and of love and of support for your fellow human being. You know, I know that it does suck to say this. There's always going to be those couple of people, and it's a small minority, and it's becoming smaller and smaller by the day. But there will always be those people, you know, the haters, the ones who don't get it, or they don't understand, or they're just flat out against it. And yeah, you can't waste your energy, your time on those people, because like you said, they're small-minded. Their worldview is so skewed and so small, and I feel bad that's how it is for them. I don't understand it personally. I can't fathom how you could judge a person based on who they love, but some people do. They're just not, you know, they're not. I don't want them listening to this show either.
No, that's how I am, and I've said it many times, but that there is a reason I tweet about it as much as I do. There is a reason I bring it up. It's to normalize it, because a lot of people don't find it normal. So that's one reason, and to make those people that feel uncomfortable feel a little extra uncomfortable, because it has got nothing to do with them, what I do. So, it's that's my place on that. So that's something that will come up in these shows, and I will normalize it, for me at least. I know I can't change the world, but I will normalize it for me and the people that come on my show. So that is my stance on that. But that is something, if anyone is wondering in the last month how I'm doing with all of that, I'm doing just fine. I am the happiest I've ever been. Well, not right now, because I'm like dying in bed with the man flu, but I'm happy. I'm very, very happy. But we are here to talk about some wrestling. There was a little horror show that happened this past weekend, at Extreme Rules, I should say. And we kind of gave our overall kind of look on it. We both enjoyed the show. There was a lot of people that didn't. I did. Kevin did, as he said. But let's not waste too much time. Let's talk about two things from that show that I take away from that show. We'll spend a lot of time on this. So, eye for an eye. So that match happened. Seth Rollins, Rey Mysterio. The only way to win was in WWE.com's words was to extract, yes, that word extract, your opponent's eye from their body. So the idea was to take another man's eye out. Now, let's talk about everything right up until the finish, Kev. That match between Rey and Seth was really damn good. It was a damn fine wrestling match.
Absolutely. I didn't know what to expect going in, because, you know, in a match where the literal point is to pull your opponent's eye out, I wasn't sure what they were gonna do. You know,
I thought it was going to be cinematic, to be completely fair.
I also thought it was going to be more cinematic. I didn't think there was going to be a lot of wrestling. No. And I know there were people. I know a lot of people. I definitely saw at least one prominent Twitter personality bitching about how, you know, why are they doing frog splashes? Why are they doing this, and that? But I think Phillips and Samoa Joe made good points on commentary. Like, it's a lot easier to pull your opponent's eye out when you beat the shit out of them and render them incapacitated. So the wrestling portion of the match.
But I guess, to that point, Kev, it's like, why would they do a frog splash in any match then? Why would you do a frog splash in a ladder match? Why would you do a frog splash in a last man standing match?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the point? Like, it's the same.
Like, there's so many matches that you win it in various ways that, you know, kind of render wrestling silly. But if you thought about, if you think about it in that line of logic, you're gonna have a hard time watching pretty much any wrestling match.
Yeah, literally, like in that sense, why don't they just hit their finisher as soon as the match starts?
Literally, honestly, like, if that's the way you look at it, why don't you just ring the bell and you literally just pull your opponent to the ground and, like, sit on his shoulders and get the 3 count? You know? Like,
so it's
that's not
wrestling,
fun.
Guys, wrestling is a television show. Just putting that out there. It's to create drama. It's to get people on suspense. So you want to do stuff like that if anyone hasn't watched wrestling before. But go on, Kev.
Yeah, no, but the match was fun, and like I said, I didn't know what they were gonna do, but there was a lot of really great action in there between obviously Seth and Ray are two of the greatest wrestlers on the planet right now. I know people are hesitant to say that about Seth Rollins, but he is so damn good, and he proved it. Obviously, Ray at any age is one of the best workers on the planet. They had a lot of fun out there. They really did. It was kind of like there's a term basketball fans use called heat check, and it's basically like if you're hot, if you're hitting a bunch of shots, you might take a shot, you might take like a really deep 3-pointer or a ridiculous looking layup, and it's called a heat check because you're so hot, you want to see how far you could go. I think you have two great wrestlers in there that have had nothing but great matches recently, and you're saying, all right, well, we're gonna stick you with this stipulation. It's questionable. It's not great, but we're gonna see what you can get out of it. And they got a pretty damn good segment out of it, I thought.
I agree. I think it was a really, really cool. It was a really good match. Obviously, we knew where this was going, and watching Extreme Rules with Tori, my friend who hadn't really watched a lot of wrestling, she was into it. So I was kind of like living vicariously through her and being like, okay, I'm just gonna take away the silliness of this and take away my Mark brain and just kind of watch it. And up until the finish, I really enjoyed it. And then the finish happened. It was kind of gross to watch. Like the idea of really unsettling. Yeah, like the idea of Seth ramming Ray's face into the corner of the stairs was rough, and it looked rough. Like the way they did it, they sold the shit out of it. They were getting chicken shit, and they tried to make chicken salad. And then, okay, this is where I kind of got a little bit lost. First and foremost, the eye in Ray's glove looked, it looked like a ping pong ball, to be completely.
I thought it looked like a lolly, like the if you took a stick out of a lollipop. That was what I thought it was.
So I was watching that and I was like, oh man, that's interesting. And then Seth vomited, and I was like, okay, I'm going with this one.
when I first, upon the first watch, because I had to go back and watch at least this part of the show multiple times. When Seth vomited, my first thought was like, well, why would they do that? But because that's gross and no one wants to see it. But then I'm like, well, I mean, if I had just ripped someone's eye out, I'd probably throw up too.
Yeah, and then like when you think about it, the whole idea of this show was to be the horror show. And a lot of these horror movies, these C-level horror movies, look exactly like that. So, to their point, I guess they did what they intended to. Now,
it was supposed to be like real schlocky and real like corny, and I think they definitely brought that back later with the swamp fight. But I thought the horror show aspect of it was pretty well done.
Yeah, I didn't hate this match. I knew I was either going to hate this match or I was going to love this match, but I can't quite. I love the match. The finish was a bit like, oh boy, but at the same time, I didn't hate it. I honestly didn't hate it. I really didn't.
I didn't hate it either. Maybe you can fill me in because I haven't been watching Raw week to week. Did they say like beforehand that there was going to be like no interference from anybody?
I don't know, but I didn't think about that until
just because this is like the one thing that I was kind of scratching my head at. Dominic came out like really, really quick after the match ended.
Yeah, why not just come out?
Why didn't he come out like 5 minutes beforehand and say
Murphy
this?
Yeah, okay, yeah. I don't know. Maybe they did and I just missed it.
Yeah, that's what I feel, because like this seemed like a match. Like my expectation was there was gonna be a lot of like outside stuff because you have Murphy and then you have all of Ray's kid and Carrillo got beat up, and I figured there was gonna be some of that. And if they didn't bring Dominic out at all, I wouldn't have even thought about it. But like literally the second they rang the bell, he was out there to get Ray, and I was like, why didn't he come out like literally 90 seconds ago?
Didn't think about that, to be honest, until right now. I don't know. Maybe they did and I just missed it, or maybe they didn't. I don't know. Interesting. Yeah, but I didn't hate
the thing though. I was like, about everything else about the match, and even the finish. Like, obviously, the finish was unsettling and it deflated me a little bit. But yeah, I knew that there was no way to make that finish like palatable. Like the guy losing his eye. It is what it is.
Yeah, I had no problem with it. I was like, it's fine. Maybe the vomiting, but other than that, it made sense. And it was a horror show, so I was like, I didn't hate that. I honestly didn't hate that. Let's talk about Asuka and Sasha Banks. Fantastic wrestling match. Easily the best pure wrestling on the whole show. Easily to me, well, at least to me. I knew that going in. I knew that going in. I was like, this is going to be the best match of the whole night. There's no way it can't be. But a long match, by the way. Those girls got some time. I was like, yes, they probably had one of the longer matches of the night in terms of just out there, just without all the shenanigans. They just had a damn fine, nice, long wrestling match. You had Kyrie and Bayley, of course, earlier in the night. Bayley beat Nikki Cross thanks to Banks. I didn't love that match, to be completely fair. I thought it was a little slow, but
I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. And just like, I knew that it was going to get overshadowed because Asuka and Sasha is just money.
Yeah. So they had their match, whatever. By the way, before we talk about Asuka and Sasha, I can't say her first name because my device is sitting right next to me and it will turn on. But Miss Bliss, did you have a weird feeling that maybe Bliss was going to screw Nikki over? Because I did. Maybe that's just the wrestling fan coming out of me.
Oh, I never really. I guess that'll always be because Bliss is such a natural villain that like it's been weird to see her in this role for so long. But I never that didn't really occur to me. I just figured that there was going to be shenanigans and Bayley was going to retain via said shenanigans. I didn't think about it from the other side.
That's fair. No, I was just honestly asking, but well, that's just what was. Something was weird about it, and I was like, maybe that will happen, but it obviously didn't. But yeah, let's talk about Asuka and Sasha. Really, really good match. Really, really good wrestling. Like we said, there's really no way it couldn't be. Now let's just talk about the finish because there's always going to be this. The finish happened, so let me try and run through this exactly how it happened because there's a lot to go on. So basically, Kyrie had handed earlier in the night. How did Sasha handed Bayley the boss rings? Didn't she to beat Nikki?
Yeah, they're like, oh, they're like brass knuckles. Yeah, basically she hit Nikki in the ribs with the thing, and then managed to and pinned her basically. Yeah,
so Kyrie handed Asuka the green mist thing. Did she? Is that what happened there? Like she handed her that, and obviously there's lots of shenanigans with Bayley, but she went to get Sasha. She got the ref instead. The referee was misted. And then Bayley comes in, and what really happened here? Banks took down Asuka, and then there was no ref, so Bayley come in and got the referee's shirt, put it on, and counted the 3.
Bayley hit because Asuka was trying to cinch in the Asuka lock. Bayley hit Asuka rather with the belt, then took the ref's shirt off, put it on while she was still wearing the SmackDown Women's title, which I thought was kind of funny, and counted the pin. I thought this was hysterical. I loved every second of this. I know it got a lot of heat.
Oh, it did, because everyone's like, it's overbooked. It's very Attitude Era finish to me. That's very Attitude Era-esque finish. It's like lots going on.
Yeah.
Not only that, like a lot of people are like, it's overbooked. There's too much happening. What the fuck just happened? A, obviously Sasha isn't the Raw Women's Champion. And B, to me, that's just them two being dastardly annoying douchebag heels. And that's what they're there to do.
This is exactly the point I'm about to make. I know that Sasha and Bayley have been like really, really good in the PC era and even just before then, and they're really awesome and they're badass and they're so easy to like, and everyone loves Sasha and Bayley. But they are the heels, they are the villains. This was just literally them screwing over Asuka to quote unquote win the Raw Women's title. Obviously, it's unofficial and they're gonna have the match for the belt on Raw. But yeah, I thought this was just funny, and you definitely, if you go back through like the Attitude Era, you'll see people that weren't supposed to count pins counting pins. It happens a lot. I just thought it was really funny that she took the ref's shirt.
It was, I thought it was really well done. I loved every minute of it. Tori, who I was watching it with, who I'm gonna leave her Twitter in the description below because she wants more Twitter followers because she wants to talk about wrestling. So I'll leave her.
Okay.
She's brand new to all of it, and she's just like, let me go in this world. She was nervous to tweet, and I'm like, don't worry about it. The people I surround myself.
You just gotta dive
nice.
in. I remember when I joined wrestling Twitter, I was like, well, what do I do? What do I say? Is anyone gonna listen or follow me? And now there's like 4,000. I have 4,000 plus Twitter followers, and I tweet like some dumb shit. So.
Yeah, oh, me too. So I got her in there, and lots of people were like Tanner and Queenie, and everybody was like, oh, don't worry, we're here for you. JPQ was trying to get her into All Japan Classics. And I was like, okay, JPQ's here. Let's watch some Japanese women's wrestling. I'm here for it. But yes, I'll leave her Twitter in the thing. But yeah, she loved it. She was like, oh, that was wild. Like that. And she goes, that makes me want to watch what's going on Raw. And I'm like, see, it's doing its job. And ratings have been down, and they want to increase ratings. So stuff like MVP, being like, I'm the United States champion because Apollo Crews didn't rock up. That makes you want to watch Raw. So what's going to happen with Sasha and Asuka in the Raw Women's Championship? Watch Raw to find out. Like, that's very Attitude Era booking as well. Instead of, to me, pay-per-views are not meant to be chapter enders. They're not meant to be book closers. They're meant to be just turning the page to the next thing.
Not a pay-per-view like Extreme Rules. Like you could make that case for like WrestleMania maybe.
Yeah, I guess.
Even though a lot of times that's more of a beginning.
But it's a rolling. Like sometimes it's right in the middle of it all. So
yeah, this is Extreme Rules. This is a July. What is it? July pay-per-view. You are always trying to sell the viewer on the next show. The most important show is the next show.
Yeah, like wrestling is a constantly moving thing. It does not stop. Yeah. There's always something to build to. So building on, it's not like everything has to be built on. Like there's some stuff that is ended and you start fresh on the next day, but there's some stuff you have to roll over. That's how wrestling works.
They never stop the ride, man. You got to get on while it's moving.
Exactly. So,
I think that I think a lot of people were upset about the finish to this because of how good the match was. Maybe, it's like, it's tough to you think they might be cheapening the match with the finish. And I sort of understand. I don't like the overbooked argument, but I'll listen to the I don't like the cheap finish on such a great match argument. But again, it goes back to the same exact thing. These are heels, Sasha and Bayley. They don't win matches clean. They screw over the viewer because they're bad people. That's what they do.
They're not horrible. They're nasty, and not only that,
supposed to have these epics and win. Heels just don't win clean. That's not how it's supposed to work.
And not only that, okay, let's put on these kind of goggles here, Kev. If Asuka wins clean, okay, Asuka just beats Sasha. That leaves nothing. There's no reason for Sasha to be in this thing. It hurts Sasha because now it's like, oh, she can just go and fight Bayley. It's like, so she's just going to go and fight Bayley after just losing a title match. Okay, then you'll be complaining that she's not earning a shot. If Sasha beats Asuka clean, that dead buries Asuka's title reign. Everyone would be having a crap on about how Asuka was booked poorly, and now you've got all the belts on Sasha and Bayley. This creates the opportunity to go a little bit further, to get a couple of Raws out of this, and then see what happens after this. It's like, it builds and builds and builds to make both women better. And it gives a nice little rub to have Sasha walking around with the championship for a week. She's going to take that Raw Women's Championship to SmackDown on Friday, or this week, tomorrow. And she's going to hold up the Raw Women's Championship and say, hey, watch Raw on Monday. Watch me beat Asuka. And then Asuka and her are going to have another great match. There's going to be no interference because Sasha will whatever. That could lead to stuff with Bayley and Sasha, because if Bayley gets involved and accidentally DQs Sasha, she doesn't win the championship, and then they have tension, and then we build to SummerSlam. Hello. It's just that's how I see this all kind of playing out in my brain.
Yeah. Listen, this is basically the crux of it is this, there's a reason these people in the WWE writers room are getting paid ostensibly a good amount of money to write these shows. Mm-hmm. And the people that are complaining about these shows are not getting paid to complain about them. No,
just focus your energy somewhere else. But hey, you do you. If you want to, you're entitled to your opinion. If you don't like it, that's not on anyone else but yourself. So, yeah, that's how I see this going, just building this story. And I enjoyed everything with that match. It was, like we said, we could both agree that it was easily the best match of the night. just
Yeah.
pure wrestling. So I really enjoyed that. Drew and Dolph, whatever. I didn't expect anything
I
more
like
than
Drew and Dolph. I
but
thought it
at
was
the
very
same
good.
time, there's no believability with me with Dolph Ziggler. I've said that many times. Is that dude just
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
win?
well, the thing is now, like, you had Dolph, and I will say Dolph had like the exact right stipulation. Anything less than I would have been like, well, you're an idiot.
Yeah,
He
it's a good
literally
stipulation.
stacked the deck that much, but he still lost. So yeah, it's like, well, shit. Dolph
He
must
always
really
loses.
suck.
Dolph always loses. There's no believability of him, and so it kind of took me a little bit out of that match. No disrespect to either of them; they're both very great. But I knew it was just going to end with a Claymore, and that was it.
That's a good Claymore. The
it
kip
was.
up into the Claymore,
Ooh,
that was
I was
that
like,
was hot.
that popped me. I was like, oh, that's good. We've talked about
And they're having a rematch on Raw or
Drew's
something.
picking.
Yeah, so that I don't get that because Dolph lost clean in
They
a match.
had a thing on Raw for anyone that didn't watch Raw this week. Dolph basically come out and said, "Hey, I am owed this. I've done everything in the last 15 years. I need to be WWE champion." And Drew's like, "Fuck you, dude. I beat you. I don't need to beat you again." And then Dolph basically called Drew a little bitch, and he said, "You can pick the stipulation this time. You can pick it." And Drew was like, "All right, you've convinced me. So next week we're gonna have a match." And Dolph's like, "What are we having?" He's like, "Oh, no. You're going to find out just before the bell rings like you did to me." So, I mean, it's just more so Dolph being a little bitch about things. So,
I hope they have an eye for an eye match.
Oh my God. Someone screamed that in the crowd they were like, "Eye for an eye." I was like, that's amazing.
Seth laughed.
I was like, that's amazing. So, yeah, I whatever with that one. We talked about Bayley and Nikki Cross. The tag team title table match, that was all right. I like Cesaro and Shinsuke winning. I thought they were going to win. Yeah.
I liked the match. I thought the match was really good. And this is like my main takeaway from the match. I guess I had two. One is that Cesaro is just like a legendary tag team wrestler at this point. Just wins with everybody.
It's true.
But also, I don't think this is that hot of a take. It may not always be like the heralded division. Like right now, you can't. Right now, the women are carrying the load. I think that's pretty obvious.
Yep.
But the SmackDown tag team title scene since 2016, when the SmackDown tag titles became a thing, has literally never been bad.
I know, and people never give it any credit. It's always you got
literally,
New Day and Usos when they're there. Cesaro and Sheamus were there for a little while. You had Breezango were there for a little while. Yikes.
You had American Alpha was there. You had
my God.
even the Bludgeon Brothers had fun. I liked it. I enjoyed the Bludgeon Brothers. Brian and Kane for a minute. Brian and
God.
Rowan.
Oh my God. Randy and Wyatt.
Yeah, like they did a lot of. They've consistently been really good with the SmackDown tag titles, no matter who's there.
Yeah, they have. Something to take away. But yeah, the match was fine. I really liked the finish. The finish was really cool. I like that finish.
The visual of Kofi lying in the wreckage was because he just was motionless. And that's tough. That is a crazy ass bump.
Yeah,
for
that's
the two tables.
Nasty bump.
Yeah, that was a good visual.
But let's talk about the swamp fight. I don't know. To me, I don't think it was bad at all. I was a little confused, to be completely fair. I didn't really know what was going on. But out of all the cinematic matches, with the exception of maybe the one at TakeOver, was it the backlot? What was it? Park?
Yeah,
what was it called?
Paul Dream one. Yeah, that
one. I didn't like that, but with the exception of that, this was my least favorite of the cinematics.
Yeah,
because it just kind of fizzled. By the way, at the end, it just fizzled out, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And Bliss was there and shit, and I'm like, "What is actually happening?" I was just a little confused. Maybe on a rewatch, I would like that more.
I know I'm with you pretty much every step of the way. I think a lot of it was just like random cuts and like weird things popping up in the camera and I don't know. I think we've both been on the record about not really caring about Strowman, and I honestly don't really care about Wyatt that much anymore.
Oof.
I don't really. That's the thing. That was the thing with this match that kind of I was like kind of scratching my head at was they brought back the Eater of Worlds Wyatt and the hook for me. The hook that I took away was like, oh, we're bringing back this old, we're trying to bring back this old character, like for some nostalgia or whatever. Kind of like when they had the Firefly Funhouse match at Mania, you got to see Cena back in like the old gear and like the Thuganomics stuff, like that's a little trip through memory lane.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the vibe I got with this. Was like, oh, they're reincarnating the Eater of Worlds. One, the Eater of Worlds is not that long ago. He literally cut that character like 2 years ago. And two, I didn't really like. I think that this whole segment was like a microcosm of what that character was, which was just Bray Wyatt would say things that sounded really cool because he talked in a really interesting way, but they ultimately made no sense. They meant nothing, and they were hollow.
Yeah, well, I can't.
That's my when Bray Wyatt first debuted, I loved him, and then over time I started really listening to his promos, and I was like, he's just sort of mumbling nonsense up there, and he never really won anything, so that also didn't make him that great. But I didn't really care for this. I thought the Bliss cameo was very weird, just because like they were a team in the mixed match challenge. I thought that was a reach. And yeah, the end was kind of the only the very end. I kind of liked the way that Wyatt went underwater and the Fiend came out. I thought that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But like
I like that too.
Getting to that point though, they just sort of like I guess he just drowned Braun Strowman. Like maybe send the police over there. It just didn't really work for me. I wasn't like super psyched about it. Plus they did that thing where they put the copyright card up on the screen. But you knew that wasn't the end. Remember watching Ciampa and Gargano versus AOP at
I was
Chicago,
like, that's not the end. Yeah.
and they put up the thing, and you're like, oh, well, that's the end of the show. And then Ciampa turned on him, and you were like, oh my god. Now you know that that's not the end of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, oh, this isn't the end, and yeah, it just it was what it was.
Also, this is another thing for me. I don't mean to pile on because I swear I like the show, but I didn't. I probably disliked this part the most of the whole show. The swamp fight. I'm also just not a fan of. You have the Universal Champion. He holds one of your two biggest titles. I feel like he should, if he's on the show, he should be defending the title in some way.
Yeah, I agree with that too. But I don't know.
You can make the case that there should be less pay-per-views. I would understand that, so there's less defenses, because you could argue that you devalue the title by having it defended so frequently. But I never saw it like that. So like if you have Wyatt there now, he didn't defend the belt, or if you have Strowman there, he's the champion, and he's not defending the belt on a pay-per-view. I don't really like that.
No. I agree with that. I pretty much echo what you're saying. I don't really have too much to add to that. The swamp fight.
I also just don't like Strowman. That might also be
that plays into this a lot. Is that I don't care for Braun Strowman. I'll be glad to see his reign end, hopefully at SummerSlam. Hopefully, because SummerSlam is next, which is weird. End of next month.
Yeah, they just announced today, I think, that it's not going to be in Boston as originally planned. It'll probably be at the PC.
Yeah, it'll be at the PC. There's doing Takeover 30 is the night before, with that big ladder match for the
Takeover porn, Takeover XX.
The logo looks really cool though.
The logo does look cool. It's good, and they did it for WrestleMania 30. They had the XXX, but I guess it's always going to be funny because
it's going to be it's the elephant in the room. We're all immature, so it's fine. But it's funny. It's that ladder match. Whoever else is in it, will be really good.
Bronson Reed is someone that he's one of those dudes. Yeah, one of those dudes that they use a lot, to put other people over on NXT. But it's not like he always looks good and matches against everybody. He might not win a lot, but if this is something for him to get him pushed, get him a little bit of a push, get him on the right track. I like Bronson Reed, and I think that having him beat Gargano and Roddy Strong is friggin' insane.
Yeah,
in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah.
I think that's
no.
an incredible win.
Yeah, and big thick boy, eh? Big Adelaide
Yeah, but
boy.
he can move he moves like a small boy
I know, he's
sometimes.
a thick boy, but he moves like a small boy. And he's an Adelaide boy, so I'm like, yes, please. More Adelaideans. Well, he's just from just outside of Adelaide, but he's someone I was like, when that triple threat got announced, I was like, I think Bronson's gonna win because he's kind of like the odd one out. And then whoever else qualifies for this ladder match as well, but it'll be a good ladder match. There's no doubt about that. It's
I mean,
gonna
look,
be really good.
there's been one North American ladder match, and it was a 5-star,
that was
like
pretty
classic,
good.
and it had big dudes in it. So if you're someone who's like, why would you put a big man in a ladder match? Look at that last one. You have Lars Sullivan and Killian Dane, and they're both awesome.
Yeah, and not only that, Bronson Reed can do some shit. So I'd like to see what he can do with a ladder.
Crazy.
So yeah, well, whoever else is in that, it was only him that qualified thus far.
I think
wasn't
he's
it?
the first one, I believe.
Yeah, there's Finn's next week, isn't he? It's Finn. There's a triple threat match next week, I believe. I think it's like Finn. Finn's in it. I know that. I can't think of the other two that are in it. It got announced though.
Well, it's probably not good for the other two if you don't even remember who they are.
Well, Finn Balor's in it. I know that. Why can't I think of the other ones? Well, speaking of NXT though, last week your girl Tegan Knox had quite the slapper with Io Shirai. Didn't get the job.
I mean, that's
done.
just no surprise. I mean, Tegan and Io, man, just the cream of the crop. I've said it on Twitter, and I'll just reiterate quick. I'm just so goddamn proud of Tegan Knox. I can't imagine. I had knee surgery when I was little, and I was definitely worried that I wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things that I love to do as a result of it, because you never know what happens after that. And I was only 9, so there was the nerves built in. And she had two knee surgeries, each knee. She had one on each knee, and and we all saw the at least the second one, because it happened in the Mae Young Classic, and that was so hard to watch. But it's just so cool to see her get back to where she belongs, because I do believe she's one of the best wrestlers on the planet, regardless of gender. I think she'll be a champion sooner rather than later, and I think this is just the first step for her. I mean, Io is on another planet. Io is in a class all to her own, and I think she could hold that belt for literally forever, and I don't think anyone would get tired of it.
Nope. She is very, very good. Also, Tegan Knox waved that rainbow flag very high. Very, very high. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. It honestly surprised me. I was like, oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, I don't usually pay too much attention to like that to the personal lives of the wrestlers. It's never really. It's not my business unless they make it public like Tegan did. In which case, that's fantastic. I'm very happy for her. And I think, if she's as happy as she could be right now, then I think that's what we should all take away from the whole thing, is that, that's the point. Happiness.
I was like, I seen the photo and I was like, oh, girl, the two girls just matching their outfits. I was like, hell yeah, go to Disneyland or wherever you were. Wherever they were, I was like, you just look happy. So that's really nice. But I was like, yeah, I was like, oh, obviously it hit me. I was like, oh, yes, go Tegan. But then she had a great match with Io. And then who attacked one Io Shirai after that match? And by attacked, I mean clocked right in the face.
Like right in the mush. What a Kai rocks, dude.
She really does. She's so good. I'm so here for Dakota versus Io. I think they could have a really good program. Their match at TakeOver, well, assuming this is building to TakeOver, which you would assume, there's no way it will suck. There's just no way.
No, they can't. You really can't. It just, oh god, it's gonna be so much fun. I'm kicking myself for ever thinking that Dakota Kai couldn't pull off a heel character, because she's literally she has literally kicked so much ass over the last.
The perfect way to describe Dakota Kai. And a good heel. A good heel doesn't win that often. Wins when necessary, but can take a loss and it doesn't matter, because she's kind of a sleaze bag. And she's got Gonzalez, and that's a heavy, and it works, and everything just works with Dakota Kai. And I just really like Dakota. I really, really like Dakota Kai. And she got Io. There'll be a nice receipt coming for Dakota, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, she's gotta watch her back.
I'll be like, oof, you clocked there. But I'm excited for that. You know how everyone knows how much we both love the NXT women's division. Something else we'll talk about before we wrap things up. I only got an opportunity to watch one match from Slammiversary. I don't know if you watched anything from Slammiversary, but the last week for Impact has been very good. A lot of people showed up, and not only that in a physical sense of talent, I'm also talking about people watching Impact.
Yeah,
being
I've
trending
I've
online
really
and
never seen more people talking about Impact on Twitter or even just in general than
yeah.
the last couple of days with Slammiversary and then with the show on Tuesday now.
Yeah.
Both really good. Yeah, and yeah, just a lot. Everything seems to be. I think that everyone's going to be like a little hesitant to fully endorse Impact because you could say they've had moments like this where it seems like they're turning a corner and then something happens. So, it's a wait and see type of thing. But yeah, dude, they had a good Slammiversary. I caught bits and pieces of it. And I was aware of everything on Twitter because like I said, everyone was talking about it. You couldn't escape it. So, but the Motor City Machine Guns are back. They were always one of my favorites. And then you bring in guys like you bring in the Good Brothers, you bring in Heath Slater. I don't like EC3, but I recognize how much value he brings to the brand. So it's going to be a good couple of months for that company.
Yeah, let's just hope they can keep the steam rolling and keep it going because wrestling in general is better when multiple people are watching. More people are watching wrestling and more eyes are on wrestling. Just the wrestling industry grows. So I'm happy for them. I happened to watch the Knockouts Championship match from Slammiversary, and it was a damn slapper. Very, very good.
I get two talented women in there: Jordan Grace, Deanna, and obviously Deanna Parazzo, the virtuoso.
I know how much you love her. So
I just think
you'd be happy for her.
I hate to be the guy who says, WWE dropped the ball, or so and so dropped the ball, but like I think she could be like the flag bearer of any wrestling company.
Mm-hmm.
She's so young. She's so good. She's got such a good look about her. Such a good like the virtuoso, the technician. She is flawless. She is so good. And I'm glad that you're going to have people that are like, well, they just brought her in. How could you put the title on her already? Sometimes that just works. No one is paying more attention right now. What I should say is people are paying more attention right now because of that. People saw, Deanna joins the company, wins the championship. Immediately, you think about, okay, well, who's gonna step up to that because that was dominance. That's how you take over a locker room.
Yeah, I understand that as well, but it was a good match. It was just a really good match. So happy for Impact and happy to see more eyes on their product. Hopefully they can keep it flowing with all this new talent they've got. So let's just hope for the best, I guess. But other than that, wrestling is we're building towards SummerSlam in a WWE land. AEW's been doing their stuff. I've just been kind of completely tapped out of AEW, to be completely honest.
They had Eddie Kingston on.
I did see that. I see clips on. Obviously, I keep up. Like I keep tabs on what's happening, and I watch what I watch.
That's me with AEW is basically just following on Twitter. But like, Eddie Kingston's a guy that's been around the indie scene for so long, and that's I think my favorite thing about AEW right now is the way that they're bringing in the indie talent, like Eddie Kingston and some other guys, Ricky Starks. I like the fact that they acknowledge that wrestling is happening outside of their walls. I think sometimes with WWE, I do get a little frustrated that they sort of act like there's nothing else going on out there. Yep. That's not always the case. They've made references to other companies in the past, but sometimes it definitely feels like they just don't acknowledge some of the other things. So I like what AEW is doing. Saying, by bringing in talent from outside the company to wrestle these matches. Obviously, they're not going to win because you don't want to put a new AEW title on someone who doesn't work for the company, but it's a good showcase for them. Cody's been getting good matches out of just about everybody. Cody doesn't get enough love, I don't think, as an actual wrestler, because I think people are too quick to talk about him now as a promoter and as a EVP. He's a damn good wrestler. He's had some damn good matches, and he gives a shit, man. He put tacks in his back on a Wednesday night against Eddie Kingston. Like, the dude cared. The dude loves this business. He will bleed for this business. I made a joke about it a couple weeks ago on Twitter because he had a match with somebody and he got color, and people were like, why is Cody always bleeding? And I'm like, dude, if I were a wrestler, I would be bleeding for a match on Velocity with Simon Dean.
Oh, Simon Dean reference. Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Simon Dean, just like, he's always on the back of my mind.
Remember, didn't he sell, what was it? Wait, what did he sell? Shakes or something? What did he sell?
They're like, yeah, it was like, I don't know if it was like weight loss stuff necessarily, but yeah, he had like the protein shakes, and I think the Boogeyman got a hold of them.
As they do, WWE in 2006. That sounds about
yeah,
right.
but Boogeyman just from like 2006 to, I don't know, he sort of disappeared not too long after that. But he would just pop up, and he ate Jillian Hall's mole.
Oh my god, I remember that.
How about Booker and Charmel?
Looked like a muesli bar on the side of her face.
For a while.
It was weird. Oh my god, oh jeez. You forget a lot of stuff that's happened in wrestling. Yikes.
I remember when ECW's like main event scene was Big Daddy V.
Oh yeah.
And the Boogeyman.
Oh yeah. Great Khali.
Khali, they were going at it like every week. I actually loved.
I distinctly remember a match happening on pay-per-view for the ECW Championship between Mark Henry, Kane, and the Great Khali. And it was billed as Battle of the Giants.
I remember exactly. I know this is not probably the majority opinion, but like the WWE ECW, I didn't get to stay up for all the time because it was on Tuesday nights and it was kind of late. But like, that was awesome. That stuff was always fun. I don't care. Dreamer stuck around forever. But you also had guys like, they brought in Mark Henry to be the champion. Obviously, when Punk and Chavo had a really fun rivalry, then John Morrison came in. They had a lot of fun with that show. I know it wasn't everybody's cup of tea.
No, I liked it.
The one ECW pay-per-view was admittedly bad. Not a good show, I could say that. But they had fun for what it was worth.
Yeah, I never thought we'd be ending this episode talking about WWE's ECW, but hey, maybe it's an avenue we should go down. We will. Hey,
Colin Delaney. I'm a Colin Delaney fan.
God, Colin Delaney. Yikes. This has been. Oh man, it's weird to wrap things up again, but it's like, this has been fun to get back into this. I feel like I haven't stopped. It's like, this is good. Ahead of the official launch next week of Reverb Radio with Ditz versus Josh, the Josh Robinson Show. Reverb will be back again next Friday, and Brothers by Law. And then, of course, you have monthly specials now on Reverb Radio. We got Reverb Rewind, which is now all grown up. Mania to Mania, which is now all grown up. So they're going to have different kind of co-hosts every single month. And then the Roundtable Sessions, which I'll be talking to different content creators. I'll probably get Kevin on there very, very soon, and just have a roundtable discussion about content and just about what's kind of going on at any given time. It's going to be wrestling and non-wrestling people, so then it's not just all pigeonholed into wrestling, but that'll be happening monthly as well. So you have different specials along with other little things popping up on Reverb Radio, as well as my Twitch stuff that's coming up. I'm going to have a weekly schedule, so you know when I'm live on Twitch, playing some all different kinds of games. I'm playing SmackDown Here Comes the Pain next week, so you can come join me, hang out on Twitch for some good vibes. Everything else that's going on YouTube, Kevin will have his blogs. I'm sure he'll get back once he gets out of this writer's block, to get back to blogging about wrestling again. I'm more than certain, but you'll see us around. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff. You'll see me floating around a lot more and a lot more consistently. So get ready for that. And yeah, I've had fun back on the saddle again for podcasting and content in general. So this has been fun, Kev.
Oh yeah, and I think this is gonna, like I said at the top of the show, I think this is gonna be the kick in the ass I need. Not just for watching wrestling, but like with the blog. I have a couple ideas. I wanted to write something leading into recording about just, where I'm at with wrestling, where I'm at, with life, just sort of an update, and also my reflections on, 2 years of Reverb, that, just a bit in more detail. And I'll probably get to that. I feel like really good right now. I feel like I'm in a good spot, like right now, like I'm in the zone. So I might even do that. I might even hop off the Skype call and start writing. And then I also 100% sometime leading into, because I know we're coming up on the anniversary, 5 years now of Bailey Banks in Brooklyn. And how
I'm wearing a shirt right now that has that match on it. It's
oh god,
it's
yeah,
my favorite
awesome.
match ever. You know that, Kev.
That's a hell of a shirt. Oh yeah, and I would definitely want to write about, and I know we there's been a lot of it because we're on the women's evolution train, and that sort of kicked off not too long ago, like this month in history. So I want to write about that. I want to write about where I was for that
Just
match.
That's how I just kind of just do it. Really, you've got nothing to lose when you do these things.
No, exactly. Just yeah, you just gotta let it fly, man.
Yeah. Instead of worrying about being perfect, just kind of do it. But I'm sure you'll have stuff out soon. Maybe even by the time that this gets released, you might even have something out. Who knows? I'll leave you on that teaser. But it's been fun. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter. All in the description below, you can find our Twitter handles. Also, follow Reverb Radio on Twitter at Reverb Radio 00, and you can find everything you need to find Reverb Radio wise. I'll still have it posted on both of my accounts, but I encourage you to go follow that so then you can stay up to date with everything going on in Reverb Radio land. But until you hear me again on Ditz vs. Josh on Monday, you hear Kevin again next Friday on Wrestling Reverb. Hang out with me on Twitch, like I said before. All the stuff is in the description below. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you soon. See you later, everyone.